Hello, everyone. I'm Amy Looper. Thank you for coming in after lunch. I'm sure all of you started in healthcare wanting to really help people, and you didn't anticipate the stress, the anxiety, just a heaviness that some days it just feels like, can I do this anymore? And why did I get into the field of medicine? Am I right? Well, we're here to talk about how to get your brilliance back, because that resilience that brought you into the field of medicine, I guarantee you still have it. And it's a resilience that's not grit, but it is a level of courage. It is a level of compassion, connection, confidence, and your passion to help other people that can be revitalized again. So I'm going to show you a model today that's going to help you do that. And first of all, introduce myself, give you some background, because this is my first year here at the Collaborative. I was actually kind of shocked when they accepted my abstract, and I'm thrilled to be here because I own my own company called Resilient Growth. I'm not with the health system, although for over 15 years, I worked with health systems, ambulatory providers, and I was that girl selling the EHR system many moons ago. So what's kind of funny is coming back in this way. Over the years, though, I became a trauma and resiliency coach after going through a lot of life myself. I started coaching parents after I went through postpartum depression myself, went through birth trauma, family suicide, all within like 2 years of each other, and then ran into some really toxic things in my own marriage, which ended up leading into some complex PTSD symptoms. On my road through all of that and bringing myself out of it, I needed answers, and people were not giving me answers. The chronic pain, the inflammation, all the symptoms, point solutions were given to me, but not full solutions. So I knew there was a better way. So I set out 6 years ago, left corporate sales, and said, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to start just coaching people, training people, and I got certified in trauma because I knew the body kept score. I was my own experiment. And I knew that my body was screaming at me saying, they're not correct. They're going about this in the wrong order. And everybody was. They were telling me to change my mindset. It's not your mindset at first when you're going through that level of trauma. It's your nervous system. And your nervous system needs to be regulated. So that's how I coach people these days, is really helping them feel safe, secure. The peer group model, I absolutely love. We do that with executives because guess what? Trauma isn't just the big things I mentioned I went through. Trauma's in everyday life. You guys in healthcare are seeing traumatic incidences, or you're involved in them every single day. So what do you do with your system at the end of the day? Your cortisol is pumping, your hormones are all over the place. And then we want to keep thriving and doing this for many decades. If we're going to do that, we need to have a model that really helps us stay emotionally and physically regulated. The hidden challenge, of course, is that burnout in any high achievement industry that I work in, and I work in multiple, but especially in healthcare, it's seen as a weakness, right? Oh, I'm not burned out. I'm fine. I don't need a vacation. You saw in the video, they didn't take a vacation for 3 years. But the vacation's the Band-Aid. That's not going to help long term. It'll help temporarily, right? The therapy appointment makes you feel good for a minute. But what's the long-term solution? That's where we have to get to. And over 50% physicians and nurses are feeling burnout. We've seen the statistics from the AMA. Over 55% of healthcare workers are actually looking for new roles. And I've seen it in my own family. I've got people in my family that are nurses. What do? Every few years, I hate my job. Go to the next one. Oh, you hate it again. Oh, interesting. I'm seeing a trend. Because of course, there's systematic issues, but if we're not going into the root of our own behaviors, then we may be missing out on a leadership opportunity. And that's why I think self-leadership at all levels, not just executives, is so incredibly important. All levels. Chronic stress, moral injury, of course, all of that's going to end up making you feel fatigued. Your body is going to feel it too, right? It's not just your mind, but everything. And so high functioning trauma is something quite interesting. We've talked a lot about this whole day, the theme of we work with a lot of perfectionists. We work with really smart people, driven, ambitious people. But what if underneath that drive, 3 to 4 layers deep, is actually like conditioned trauma from the ages of 0 to 8, or a response to that? It's an adaptive situation where we've made that people pleasing and that appeasement, for an example, something that we thrive in our career. I did that in sales and owning my own business. So we oftentimes see this high functioning kind of trauma response, and that's the breakthrough in people's lives. When we really want to get to the root cause of what's causing chronic and toxic stress, let's get underneath that. And it's individual, right? Just like I think Heather said, that's very individual. Of course, many of you know about the nervous system, right? We've got 2 sides of it, and we really have to start to regulate it. And if we're experiencing nervous system dysregulation, that means our body's going into some sort of a trauma response, right? If you have a colleague, they're coming in, they're super irritable, they're coming, maybe they're not engaging with the patient, and they're just starting to see a lot of ups and downs in their energy. Maybe they're in fight response. They may actually they might not be the bully of the office, but they might be going through something. So getting curious, I think, as colleagues is really important, and realizing we're all pinging on all of these 4 quadrants on something, like hopefully we're staying in the middle and being regulated, but chances are you might kind of, go from one to the other. I think sometimes we see a lot of flight. If people are avoiding and they're holding back, they're not staying consistent, they're not staying focused. Those are the things we look for in our teams as leader of leaders. If you're leading people that might be in shutdown mode, maybe they've just gone through something really terrible. Maybe they're coming back to the office from a medical leave, or personal leave. Maybe they just became, parents, or some big transition. You might see them go into freeze mode, and that just means that their parasympathetic nervous system is really kind of in that low drive, and you might need to help get them back to a place of feeling really enthusiastic again and feeling themselves. So all of these responses just mean that, we're human. We're all human, but we need a little bit of support. And I think as leaders, especially in healthcare, because you guys are working in high stress all the time, it's really important to support this, because you yourself might be going through the same thing and trying to support somebody else. And that's a tough spot to be in. The cost of pushing through. Sometimes I think I saw this in doctors all the time, especially my orthopedic guys, and some, they're coming in and out of the office. I can remember they were going into surgeries. Let's just put one more on the schedule, one more, I'm good. But the cost of pushing through, of course, is in our personal lives, our health, right? Disconnection from purpose, though. It starts to be this game of how many can we get into the schedule versus quality of care, right? Or quality of our organization. And of course that can lead to the worst, which I think is decreased focus, which leads to patient safety risks. And that can really be a big problem. So we need to get ahead of that. And that's how I developed the 5 cornerstones of resilience. This is a model that I coach to with everybody that comes through my door, or when I facilitate corporate groups. I work with both audiences. And the first thing is courage. Sounds easy, right? Just to be courageous, make a courageous decision. But when you're in one of those trauma responses we just reviewed, that can be really scary. So first we have to learn how to somatically regulate our body to make it feel safe. Breathing, of course, is a great tool. We all have it and it's free. You can do tapping. You can do tracing of your hand. I love teaching executives these things as well, because then you are regulating yourself before you open that mouth and before you make hard decisions. Parents, same thing. right? Imagine the world we would live in and the generational trauma we could actually prevent if we all used practices like this in our lifestyle to regulate ourselves, not blow up or not hold back. You know, appeasement's one of those things where you're playing small and you're holding back. So courage is a big one that we work on, and staying committed to a vision. This is where the focus becomes imperative. When you are committed to a vision, might be in your team, might be in your personal life. It might be doing big things like building a company or building a brand new initiative within Dignity Health. It could be whatever you need it to be, but it's your vision. And when you're so committed to it, that allows you to create boundaries and manage your time so that you are no longer having those conflicts that will take away. And in the end, your organization is going to obviously see the performance improvement as well. The third step is compassion. We've been talking about this a lot today. And compassion, I think, and resilience is exactly what a few people mentioned earlier. It's going inward and saying, hey, like, we did good today. We got through the things we needed to get through, and it may or may not have been perfect. And letting go of that, letting go of anxiety of trying to get it right every single time, because we're human. That allows us to be vulnerable. And what does vulnerability do? It breeds connection, right? And if we feel connected to other people, they're going to feel connected to us. We're going to have a culture of psychological safety and trust. And that, my friends, brings us to confidence, where we feel confident in being able to do the things we need to do. Now, these are very general, and I definitely like to specify these for every individual that walks through my office. But this is essentially how you get yourself from, that big life event that just wants to pull you down. 3 days ago, I was in a divorce mediation. And yet I can still come up and talk. And I give those examples because we can do hard things and not have the emotions take us out for a week. That's that rebounding time that starts to really decrease, and you're able to do really amazing things, show your kids and show all these people that you can just keep going during those hard times, or after that surgery, or after that big merger where you saw all of your coworkers, disappear and move to another system. Like, these things happen, but we can get ourselves through it. Some of the ways that we work on that, some of the more granular tactics we use, naming our feelings. A lot of us become disassociated when we're really busy in life, or if we're high achievers. We like to fix everybody else and analyze everybody else, but what do we miss? I feel. I used to be so creeped out by that. I don't have any feelings. I don't know. But I feel, right? I feel happy today, or I feel not so great. We want to validate ourselves. What if we validated ourselves instead of attuning our nervous systems to everybody else and validating and expecting the rest of the world to validate our experience? You do that internal work, your whole perspective shifts. You can lead through absolutely anything, and you can do it with some joy. Commitment, you're going to rebuild trust when you do that, establish boundaries. And compassion, that's so necessary if you're going to provide care for other people, right? Because if you're in beat up mode, they're going to feel that energy. And connection, obviously we want to regulate and restore. And all of that, when you are operating at a confident level, I think your whole operation will feel more safe. And I think the workplace will be safer in the end. So healing is not a bad thing. If you've gone through burnout, like I've gone through burnout, and I'm sure many of you have gone through burnout, sometimes it's hard to get up during the day, or you're feeling a little jittery in your nervous system. It's okay. Use some of these tools to help yourself regulate. The healing process is not overnight, but over time, you will come through it. And it fuels your leadership, quite frankly. These times are what build your resilience so that you can thrive and you will start to rise to new levels because you're increasing your capacity and your ability and tolerance level for some of these things in your life. So it is a pleasure to spend this 20 minutes with you today. There's a lot more we can always go into. So if you want to connect offline, there's a QR code. You can just put in your email or your phone number. Let's connect and we can go deeper on any subject that you'd like to go into. And I appreciate your time today. Thank you.